All right, thank you. As we're gonna start, and I'm sure you already see the screen with the list of questions. Give the description of the following terms. We've got the first one: biology, biosphere, community, deductive reasoning, inductive reasoning, descriptive science. I know we didn't actually touch a bit. We did touch a bit about the descriptive science, but it is in your study notes. Yeah. So I'm sure if you are studying, you might have come across it. So what is biology? I already see K. Duarika said it's a biology is a branch of science which deals with vital processes of living organism. All right. Any other description? So this will be, if my recollection is correct, this will be a 2-mark or a 2-mark question. So when you're describing it, normally it ranges from a 2-mark question. So anybody else, if you can just raise your hand. And this is on our first day where we did, I think, both for BLG1501 and B1502. We started by explaining what is actually biology. This model is called biology, and you don't have to look very far from what you're looking for. The description is not that deep, but any other description? Biology, if you just say it is the study of life, I don't think your examiner or your the people who is marking will be able to mark you wrong, because here they're just there's a terminology. I think I mentioned last week that while you're answering your question, you should be mindful of the terminology or the keywords that your examiner might be looking for. So the key in the memorandum, you might find that he just indicated that if a student has indicated that this is just a study of life, or he just indicated that it's a quest to find out about the life in this earth, you are entitled to get a full mark. So you are correct, Mr. K. The other student who has mentioned there that is a biology is a branch of science which deals with the vital process of living organism. So you are also 100% correct there. I wouldn't give you wrong there. And the next one is biosphere. Anybody else who want to take it in the chat box, or who want to give us? We did talk about this. I remember there was a question, the biosphere and community. The reason why I put them here is because they kind of really have the same similar terminology or description. So biosphere, somebody said biosphere is the layer of the earth's surface that supports life. Anybody else? So community will be the sets of all the populations. Okay, there's a sorry about that. There's a student who just put a question, an answer there. A group of various species that interact in a common location. All right, yeah, that's also a correct terminology there. So, student, your answer, I think it's you are safe, because the last part of your answer, when you indicate that in a common location, so it has to include the particular area. So it's a set. If you just say a set of populations which are inhibiting or which are in a living in the same area, not particular, not necessarily, but yeah, you can say particularly in the same area, but in a particular area. Yes, a group of living people in the same place, but you might be student, your answer, you might need to be very careful there when you indicate that a group of living people. Yes, you are right, but it does not include, because you have single out that it's like only you are talking about a group of people only, but it's also right, but you might need to be careful that the community does not only involve one particular set of species. it can accommodate particular sets of population of different species in a particular area where they can coexist together. But basically, you are all right. We did talk about this while we are when we were talking about the research, talking about the hypothesis, how scientists inquire information, how they deduce the information. And we did talk about the inductive reasoning and deductive reasoning. So what is a deductive reasoning and what is a deductive reasoning? I think these ones we can include them together. At the back of your, we concluded with this last week with BLG1501. And FYI, I have seen this, I think it was on your assignment and in some previous question papers. So sometimes it can come, these two terminologies can come in a form of give the differences between the deductive and inductive reasoning. Some other times they can also come in a form of, they will give you a terminology and they give you a bunch of, they can give you a description and give you, in a multiple choice question rather, they can give you a set of different terminologies, and therefore you have to choose if it's a deductive or not. Actually, I wanted also with an example, but since it's a silent town this morning, I think a description will just be fine. So deductive reasoning and inductive reasoning, so it's a form of logical thinking that uses general inclusive statement to predict the same results. So if you check here for the differences between deductive and the inductive, you can see that is the logical, the inductive is the logical thinking that uses related observation to arrive to a general conclusion. So in the inductive, you use a observation to arrive to a general conclusion, but on the deductive, you are actually going for a thinking that uses general inclusive statement to predict specific results. You're going to have a specific results that is going to have as an outcome rather than just having a general conclusion that you can base on inductive reasoning. So we're not going to go to the example because there are a series of quiz questions which need you to reason about going forward. So I see another student has made deductive reasoning is a logical approach, yes, which that progresses from general ideas, yes, to a specific conclusion. Yes, you are correct, 100% correct. So descriptive science, what is a descriptive science? It's obviously a science. Which what? What is a descriptive science? So a descriptive science will be also a discoveries of science, as it's self-explanatory, which is a form of science that aims to observe, explore, and investigate. Simply, just like that. You just say science which aim to observe, to explore, and to investigate, which is part of many research ideas that many people form part, and also form part of many discipline studies which the scientists do research on. Guess what? There's more. But I think these ones are much easier. And I will expect you, it's already 8:30 now for people to be probably awake now. Yeah, what is an ecosystem? There was the term ecosystem in the description of biosphere. I did try to do liberty with separation of terminology. I think when I just put the terms which are closely related to one another or form part of the same topic next to one another because your examiner hardly do that. So obviously, if you had to define biosphere followed by ecosystem followed by community followed by population, that would have been very easier for you to, especially if you are aware what is biosphere, then you are able to go for ecosystem, then you are able to go for community, you are able to go for population, as they are stated like that in your notes. Anybody who wanna go for it? All right. An area where living organism and non-living organism live together. All right. Promoting life. All right. Somebody said an ecosystem is a community of interacting organisms and their environment. Yes. You are both correct. So ecosystem will be all the living things in a particular area that live together with abiotic and non-abiotic, with abiotic and non-living parts of that community or that environment. So you are all correct there in that description. So it's also the key terminology there is to live in a particular area. They have to be abiotic or biotic and non-living parts of that environment that coexist together in that particular environment. Yes, you're also right when you indicate that a group of living organisms that live in and interact with each other in a specific environment. Yes, you are correct. Then this one is obvious. I should expect everybody to know this. What is an eukaryote? Eukaryote, prokaryote. I think it's our national anthem of this module. We almost sing them every other day when we are with each other. Yes, another student has just said organisms that have an enclosed nucleus. Somebody said organism whose cells contain a nucleus and other membrane-bound organelles. All right, yeah. Perfect. And you are 100% organism with cells that have a nuclei and membrane-bound organelles. So when you are defining these organelles, you just need to go to, I told you a week ago that you need to actually know about the structure. So if you go about the structure, what those labelings are, and if you just tell us that this is the organelle, which this is an organism which have nucleus and membrane-bound organelles. So you can 100% all right. And evolution, I think this one, even a person who's not doing biology knows about this one. So I expect perfection on this one. What is evolution? Anyone? By the way, unmuting yourself and just shout out the answer is much quicker and easier, isn't it? Okay, somebody said the process of change that has transformed life on Earth. Yes. And any other person with other description? So even in this terminology also, there's also some keywords that are necessary that your examiner will be looking for. You can write the whole paragraph, but he will have a key to say if a student put this term, if he included this term, he said this and this, he is entitled to get all the marks. And someone said the process where organisms develop from their predecessors. Yes, yeah. Evolution is the change in the genetic material of a population over time. All right. One last person. So you are basically all correct, but evolution is the process. It's the process. What kind of a process? Is a process of a gradual change. So gradual is just a terminology to just indicate that it has occurred over a long period of time, because evolution, there's a difference between evolution and and adaptation. That there's a adaptation, it occurs a bit shorter compared to evolution, but evolution occurs in a gradual change in a population or in a species over time. So the terminology that the thing that you don't have to miss in your explanation or in your definition is to indicate over time and the change. You can get away with saying change instead of gradual change, or instead of long time, or over a number of million years, if you want to be particular in time. But the fact that you're talking about a change in a particular population or in a particular species, and that change happen over time, you don't have to miss that one. And the phylogenetic, what is a phylogenetic tree? Anyone? We did dwell much on this one 2 weeks ago, and we also dwelled much on this one for those also who are doing BLG1502. So we also dwell on this one. So you have every reason to know what a phylogenetic tree is. Yes. Okay. Somebody said it's a diagram that showed the lines of evolutionary descendant to different species. A diagram with the branches that shows the evolution of different species over time. You are both 100% all right. Thank you for that. And so basically, this is the diagram showing evolutionary relationships. That's a key word there, among various biological species based on their similarities and differences in genetic or physical traits, or both. In an instance, it's a hypothesis concerning an evolutionary connections, how or where we come from. But yes, the answers that I see in the chat box are very, very the same thing that we just indicated in the answer in the screen. So what is a hypothesis? The next one. Oh, we did do this while we were doing the inductive reasoning and deductive reasoning. I still remember, I think I've asked this question last week, and you are the one who gave the answers last week. So people did give me a lot of answers last week about what hypothesis is. So what could have changed from last week on? Because I can just get, yeah, you can say it's an educated guess. Yes. Anybody else? You can say it's an educated. I just personally don't like the word guess, because in research you actually have to have information. You have to actually dig. So I guess does not do justice, but you actually overwrite the enthusiast with educated. But somebody has said it's an assumption that is proposed for the sake of argument, so that it can be tested to see if it's true. Yes, the key terminology there, student, is to be tested. Yes, you are right. I like this one. A testable statement about the relationship between two or more variables, or a proposed explanation for some observed. There is more. Let me just click here for some observed phenomenon. Okay, the other one said it's a testable prediction. Yes, you're also right on that one. So you are 100% correct, all of you. So it's a suggested explanation for an observation which one can test. So there's have to be an observation. That observation, that you have to explain the outcome, one or two outcome of that observation that you've observed, and then there have to be a pathway or a methodology which you can test. Well done. And what is a population? What is a population? And what is a prokaryote? While you are thinking about population, also think about prokaryote. If you know about the prokaryote, you can describe what's a prokaryote, what's a population. A population, somebody said a population is a group of individuals, yes, that of the same species living within a given area. Yes, I like that one. Yeah. So it's group of all individual of a species living within a specific area. And prokaryote, what is a prokaryote? Yes, prokaryotes are organisms whose cells like a nuclei or other organism. Remember, I've always told you that when you are describing for, let's say, something's, so obviously if you know about what eukaryotes are and you give a nice explanation up there, so you can be able to deduce as an explanation what prokaryotes are, which can just be opposed to the eukaryote. Not to say that every explanation or every detailed explanation have to be about opposing one another, because not everything is as black and white. But when we are dealing with prokaryotes and eukaryotes, when you're dealing with, there are terminology which have differences, and you have seen that your examiner have so in previously many times given the question about the differences between eukaryotes and prokaryotes. So you might as well give the description which fits into the description of the differences, and you will be 100% correct. And another person also said the prokaryotes are organisms without a true nucleus, and their DNA is not isolated by the nuclear membrane. You are 100% correct. So it's a single cell organism that lacks organelle and does not have nuclei surrounded by their membrane, like what the student has mentioned there. Yeah, any question with regards to these terminologies? So you can be guaranteed that a minimum of 4 or 5. And this is just all of the chapter that we were dealing with 2 weeks ago. So you might have grabbed a 2 or more. There you will find in your exam. Okay, in the absence of a question, let's proceed because we still have a long way. By the way, this was supposed to take 30 minutes or so, but for some reason, I'm getting a little bit of a silent treatment from you guys. So that's why it's taking long. So this is a diagram here. So this is a diagram which is just ignore the figure number. Just know that it's a diagram figure which is indicating the scientific method, which consists of series of well-defined steps. So if a hypothesis is not supported by an experimental data, one can propose a new hypothesis. So you can see here the scientific method, which is indicated that here you need to make an observation, ask a question from a hypothesis that answers the question, and make a prediction based on your hypothesis, do an experiment to test the prediction, analyze the results, hypothesize which is supported, hypothesis which is not supported, then report the results. So if here the hypothesis is not supported by the results, you try again. Maybe you can try another method, case in point or an example. If you are okay, that's a deep example, but if you are doing an extraction of a DNA, and then when you go to the results, you find when you're running your gel electrophoresis, and then you don't see that you have quality DNA, you can go again and do the extraction again, maybe of a different tissue, maybe you have to do, there's something that you miss. But the point and case here is that if your hypothesis is not supported, you try again. the method, and then you're gonna have to indicate in your methodology what is it that you have missed, that you are able to not arrive at a supported hypothesis when you are reporting your results. So in this figure, you should pay attention to it in this figure, because guess what? We are still on our quiz. So in this figure, 1.6, ignore the numbers. So in this figure, in the example below this table, the scientific method is used to solve an everyday problem. So what you're going to be doing now, what I want you to do now, what I want you to communicate with me now is that out of, you see there in your left row, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You're going to be matching these are scientific methods, which are number items, with the process of solving the everyday problem, which is the letter items A, B, C, D, E, F up to F. Based on the results of the experiment, is the hypothesis correct? If it is correct, then propose the same alternative from the hypothesis. So for the hypothesis, you're gonna have to also, if it's not correct, you're gonna have to give the proposed answer or some proposed alternate hypothesis. So let's do it. Can we match this observation? Which one is match the description on your, it's on my right here. The letter what? What is an observation?
My toaster doesn't toast my bread.
Which will be in the letter
C.
It will be C. Anybody else? Before we go to the verdict.
3A.
Which one? So 3 is A. You mean?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. You know what you should do? Let's start with A. Let's start with a 1 observation. Let's match observation. Somebody said 2 is F. Somebody said 1 is C. 2 is F. 3 is A. I will need to. 3 is A. 4 is B. And 5 is D. I might actually have to go through my answers here. Anybody else? You're actually right. So if I am being 100% correct, so if you're saying observation is my toaster doesn't toast my bread. Okay, check out my answers, right? And tell me if I'm wrong or right. And if I'm wrong, tell me where I'm wrong. But you should, how many? Okay, 1, 2, 3. Anybody else? I don't want to describe to everybody. One last one. One last answer. Okay, this is going to be a good exercise for you to correct what I put here. So I've said 1 is F. Why doesn't my toaster work? And say true is, question is, if something is wrong with the outlet, my coffee also won't work, won't plug into it. And I said 3, which supports my toaster doesn't toast bread. And I said 4, which is prediction. I plug my coffee into the outlet. And 5, which is an experiment. My coffee maker doesn't work. And the result is, I said it's A. There's something wrong with my outlet. Am I wrong or am I right? There are some ones which are obvious, like question. Guys, come on, correct my table. Okay, is my table correct or not?
It's wrong, sir.
Cool. Let's correct it. Let's start with F with one observation.
I think some people actually answered. They corrected it in the chat, sir.
Yeah. So we do all agree. It's E. It's C. So you're observing. So you went there, and when you trying to do your to trust your bread, and then what's your observation? It's not trusting the bread I put there. It's not trusting. So we all agree it's C. And the question, I think that the question is it's obvious, right? Why am I saying obvious? Because there's a question mark already. So it should be what? Should be which one? Why doesn't my coffee toaster work? Is F? And hypothesis? Do you all agree that it's A? Woohoo! And prediction? We are predicting now. So it also self-explanatory if you said if I do something, if this doesn't do, then it will work. If I do something, it's not gonna work. If I do this, it's not gonna work. I'm changing this because I'm gonna send this to you guys later, and I'm not sure if you guys are sure about the answers, or the silence is really means consent. That's why I'm changing it, because you will find that somebody else will say, when the question comes in the exam, say the answers for A was B, and while you did not change it. I'm now assuming that. And for 5 experiment, so experiment is a methodology. It's what you are doing. It's how you're gonna do to fix or to try to hypothesize your to test your hypothesis. So it will be, experiment will be if I plug my coffee into the they call it outlet. Yeah, most of us will call it plug. So it will be E. Then the last one, which will leave, it's at the end of the day, what we're gonna do after the experiment. The experiment was that we get the results. What are the results? Is that my coffee is now working. Did you get it, or should we also? Is it fine? Please just show with your thumb if you agree, if you think it's making sense. It's tricky, I know. And remember one particular thing that you should remember: this question is not just emanating from the sky; it's emanating from this diagram. So they will give you this diagram where you're gonna have to structurally understand that the chronology, or the steps for scientific method consists of well-defined series of steps where you make an observation, may ask a question, form a hypothesis, make a prediction, and do an experiment, analyze the results, report the results. And among reporting the results, when you're reporting, you're gonna have to, after you report the results, you're gonna have to put some discussion there and give some conclusionary remarks there and there, so that you can be able to give out what is it your experiment. So this assistant will be our answer. So ignore this one. Ignore this one. before I send you this notes, I will do a liberty of removing this because somebody will this is a question, right? It's still a part of a question. Somebody will just think of so part of the question also indicated that actually I should put it as a question. It says that in the questions that it said in the example below, the scientific method is used to solve an everyday problem. Match the scientific method steps with the process of solving the everyday problem. And they said based on the results of the experiment, is the hypothesis correct? So there's an additional question. So the first question is for you to match the following, and we did that. And also there's an additional question which says based on the results of the experiment, is the hypothesis correct? If it's incorrect, therefore propose some alternative hypothesis. If it's not, what is the right one? You can give a proposal of what. So if the prediction there or the hypothesis there is that why doesn't my toaster work? Why is the hypothesis correct? If the hypothesis incorrect, what could be the alternative hypothesis? I'm saying if it's not correct, you can just say it's correct. Why it's not correct?
You could say my coffee maker doesn't work.
Mm-hmm. You're saying the coffee maker is the one that is not working.
No, sorry, I meant the coffee maker works.
Okay.
That's if it wasn't correct.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So you're gonna have to give an explanation there to as to why so it will actually be on the results. What are the results? The result is that my coffee maker works, right? So the which means that because based on the experiment, the hypothesis, yes, you are right, it's the hypothesis incorrect, but the coffee maker works because there when we do the results there says it's C, it's E rather, sorry, which says my coffee maker, which means the my coffee maker works when plugged into the outlet. The suggestion that there is nothing wrong with the outlet or with the, I don't know how you call but we call it the plugs, which means that there's nothing wrong with the plug or the outlets. Some alternative hypothesis will be now the toaster itself is malfunctioning. The toaster itself is not properly plugged in or turned on, or there might be an issue with the specific outlet that where the toaster is working, and then because the coffee maker is working, so you're gonna have to give some explanation which about what could be wrong with the toaster because the coffee maker is working when you plug it into the same explanation. I think we are taking longer than I think anticipated, and we still have quite a number of questions that I want you to tackle. Another diagram here is the two types of reasoning, which are, you're gonna have to read with me here. So this is a figure, again, don't pay attention to the figure numbers. Scientists use two types of reasoning. We mentioned this last week, inductive and deductive reasoning, to advance scientific knowledge. As in the case in this example, the conclusion from inductive reasoning can often become the premise for the deductive reasoning. So if you check here, you will see that the inductive reasoning from a number of observation, a general conclusion is drawn, and the deductive reasoning from a general premise, specific results are predicted. Then observation from in terms of inductive reasoning, members of a species are not all the same. Individual competes for resources. It could be the same resources. Species are generally adapted to their environment. And for deductive reasoning, it will be that there's a general premise which is opposed to the observation. And that general premise will be individual most adapted to their environment are more likely to survive and pass their traits on to the next generation. And conclusion. So inductive reasoning give conclusion, whereas deductive reasoning give predicted results. So those conclusion will be for inductive reasoning in individuals most adapted to their environment. You should be paying attention to this diagram because there are questions which are going to follow. Individuals most adapted to their environment are more likely to survive and pass their traits to the next generation. That is the conclusion. And the predicted results will be if the average temperature in an ecosystem increases due to example like climate change, individuals better adapted to warmer temperatures will outcompete those that are not, or those that don't tolerate harsh conditions or harsh environmental conditions. And from this diagram, are you ready? Decide if each of the following is an example of inductive or deductive reasoning. So please, when you get yourself this kind of slides, if I'm going to give you, because yeah, you are so silent. So your silence may mean also that you are not even interested in these slides of humor. So if you get a hold of these slides, please, you're gonna have to make sure that you are making sure that this is it's in your head, or you study them, and then you don't get confused, or you are not caught off guard when questions such as this come, because this may as well be a 2, 4, 6, 8 marks question. If you're just gonna indicate if the following statement is either inductive or deductive. So the first statement is all flying birds and insects have wings. Birds and insects flap their wings as they move through their air. Therefore, wings enable flight. Is this a deductive or inductive reason?
The inductive reason.
Inductive. Okay, why?
Because
You don't have to answer that. Anybody else? Anyone else? I see even in the chat box is quiet now. I'm not seeing anything. No, there's no answer yet. So I'm afraid we're gonna have to differ there with their answer. So all flying birds and insects have wings. That's the statement. Birds and insects flap their wings as they move through the air. Therefore, wings enable flight. So this will be an example of deductive reasoning. Why? This is an example. It starts with the general premise: all flying birds and insects have wings, and applies that precise to specific situation. What is that specific situation? That birds and insects have wings, and they flap their wings as they move through the air to draw a specific conclusion which enables the flight. The second one, insects generally survive mild winter better than harsh ones. Therefore, insect pests will become more problematic if global temperatures increases. So you see here, it observes a general trend which says insects survive mild winters better than harsh ones, and makes a prediction based on the trend. Based on the trend, insects will become more problematic if global temperature increases. However, the conclusion is not guaranteed. It's not guaranteed. It relies on a problematic assumption rather than a strict logical deduction. So this will be.
This one is inductive, sir.
This will be inductive. Yes, you are 100% correct. And the third one, which will be. No, I'm not supposed to be here. The third one will be chromosomes, because the DNA separate into daughter cells during cell division. Therefore, each cell will have the same chromosome set as the mother cell. So in this one, it also starts with a general biological fact. The general biological fact: chromosomes separate into daughter cells during cell division, and deduce a specific consequence or consequences. Each daughter cell will have the same chromosome set as the mother cell based on that fact. So this will be a, let's not, they won't come as black and white to say give the differences between deductive reasoning and inductive reasoning. They may just give you this kind of statements which are, they seem simple, but when you dig down, you can see that you can scratch your head. Because the explanations, if you try to do them, they kind of like, it's inductive, it's deductive. When you go through them again, it's also deductive. When you go through them again, it's inductive. So you get, that's why I'm saying that this diagram, you're gonna have to master it. You're gonna have to understand it and get some additional information, and also go through what we go through last week on your notes. That will give you a proper explanation as to it. So this will be, I see somebody said it's a deductive reasoning. Yes, you're 100% correct. It's deductive reasoning. And the last one, which says animal as diverse as human, insects, and wolves all exhibit social behavior. Therefore, social behavior must have evolutionary advantage. So here, okay, I'm gonna give you
It's inductive.
It's in, you said it's a what? It's an inductive.
Yeah.
Yes, you're 100% correct. It's an inductive reasoning because it observes a pattern. Or which one? Pattern is various animal exhibit social behavior and infers a general principle. Social behavior must have an evolutionary advantage. Why? Based on that particular pattern, like the second example, which this conclusion is not guaranteed, but at least it's a hypothesis based on observed instances. And FYI, in this kind of questions, you might sometimes they might say they can also put an additional question. You won't just have to say it's deductive or inductive only. You might actually need to explain further why you are saying it's deductive reasoning. So if they ask you to explain further, therefore you could have to put out the reasoning, which will emanate from the previous diagram that I've just showed you. Is this helpful? Is this helpful in one way or the other? All right, I see a hand.
Yes, sir. So does this mean that the exam will be a hybrid exam of multiple choice and rating?
I'm still, I haven't forgot a question also about the evolution, how much the evolution portion or contains. I was communicating with Miss Sumaya earlier on. So these things fluctuate and changes every year, particularly since after COVID. So I don't have the exact answer, but I'm sure Miss Sumaya will actually give the conclusive response in a week or so.
Okay.
But what you can do for yourself is to prepare as if this will be just a full on where you're gonna have to explain more, because that way it gives you more, it puts you in more advantage. Because trust me, the multiple question answers are more complicated than you think compared to, because I'm thinking here, if somebody in this question, if somebody just say differentiate between deductive reasoning and inductive reasoning and also place some examples, you can just put, but when they give you like series of combination of information and then you have to choose which one is deductive or inductive reasoning, trust me, it's more complicated than you will assume. That yes, when you're answering, it's just a matter of saying deductive or inductive, but there are key things that you can miss there because you're gonna have to really be knowing your story. I think we've got one more exercise to go. Yes, we do. So in this figure here, it's also here it shows once again for the numbers, these numbers, they might not be in because I've just taken this out of your notes. So it shows the biological level of organ. You remember this diagram? You remember this diagram in our notes where we talk about the organelle, cell, tissue, the human skin, for example, organelle and our organ systems, organism, population, community and communities, ecosystem, and biosphere. So it shows the biological level of organization from a single single organelle to entire biosphere, living organism which are part of highly structured hierarchy. And this is just an accreditation to show that this is not this student is. Do you still have a question? Or is saying all hand? Okay, it's an all hand. Sure. So this is just a reference. So if this was my diagram, if I made it, I wouldn't have included this in this, or they wouldn't have included this. So if you are putting a diagram which you did not source or is not yours, you need to cite the source of where you took it. So from this diagram, voila, there's a question. Which of the following statements is false? So in a way here, you're gonna have to give true or false kind of way, but they just want you to tell us which one is false from this statement.
Sir?
Sure.
So I want to say A is correct, but obviously tissue doesn't exist within organs. It's made up of, it's what organs are made up of. So I want to say that one is false. And then communities exist within populations. That's also false. Organelles exist within cells. That's true. And then communities exist within ecosystems. That's also true.
Okay, so the one which is false according to you, it's B.
And A.
B and A.
Yeah, I would say A is correct. No,
Okay.
listen. The reason why I would say this is because tissue doesn't exist within organs. It is what organs are made up of.
Okay, yeah. Okay. Okay, if you put it like that, yeah. Anybody else? Okay, I see somebody in the B is false. Okay. So I'm not sure in terms of the grading, how much this will contain, but the question specifically it's priority. They want us to tell us which one is false, right? So I'm not sure about the ones which are true and false. But when you answer a question like this, you are right, student. You need to indicate that also the other ones are true, and you also outline the one which is false. But I think you are right. This one will be true, and the communities which exist within a population, which exists within ecosystem, it's false, and the rest are true. So the communities in ecology, the hierarchy typically goes from individuals within population and population within communities, within ecosystem, and ecosystem within the biosphere, like we mentioned in the previous question, or also in the diagram. So the statement that communities exist within population is not accurate, which if you are consistently looking at the diagram. Instead, population exists within communities as different species make up community, and communities exist within ecosystem, and whereas various communities interact with each other and their physical environment. Why am I saying this? Sometimes they will say also give an explanation why the statement is false, or also give the explanations why the statement is true. But I highly doubt that they will explain why it's true, but you just have to indicate which one is false. Whew. Then we come here to the easy ones, which I also think that is the most difficult one. Multiple questions, guys. Let's talk here. Right? I'm sure we can. The first form of life on Earth, where? Anybody else? You are 100% correct. It's B, microorganisms. And once again, ignore the numbers. Just check the question. A suggested and testable explanation for an event is called. Somebody else answered this one. I think we talked a lot about this today. Somebody said it's A. A will be hypothesis. Anybody else? See, there's somebody who's seconding and A also. Third one. Let's see if it's A. Yes, indeed, it's a hypothesis. So a suggested and testable explanation. It's a hypothesis. So the first form of life on Earth were microorganisms. So you need to watch out for that one. These tiny single cell organisms, which are believed to have appeared on Earth billions of years ago, long before the plants, the birds, or the dinosaurs have occurred. So which of the following is considered all right? Okay. This end.
Yeah, sir. So with regards to that last the questions, the true or false questions now, it's because it's bothering me now, because now, sometimes, isn't it, in the exams you'll put questions with small details to catch you off. So basically now, how would I handle that situation? Because like I said, if you say tissues are inside the organs, someone can flip it on me and say no, but inside the organs there's fluids or whatever, and hormones or whatever, depending on the organ, and it doesn't have tissue inside of it, but it's made up of tissue. So how would I go about handling that type of question?
Yeah. Okay. I'm just for the sake of time, let me just say, don't worry about that one. I think it's just a matter of typo or something like that. You don't have to. But I get where you're coming from. That you find that it's a tricky, where they're just trying to flip over some tiny little detail which is omitted or being flipped over. But for in terms of with as far as that question goes, just look at it as a typo, because I think I've seen that one I will check again, I think twice, the very same question as exactly as it is. I'm not saying it will come back as it is, but I've seen it more than twice as it is. So it's just a matter of a typo. It's not a trick at all. But I get what you're talking about, that you find that there's an explanation which is flipped, or they just omit, or they mixed up tiny detail, which is what I dislike about multiple choice question or true or false questions, that there's gonna be an omission of very considerate words or keywords, like I've been saying before. But as far as that particular question is concerned, it's not that. It's just an omitting of a typo error. But one way or the other, if you have studied well, you're gonna have to watch out for that. So, but in cases like that where there is where there's a typo and then somebody end up putting a wrong question, eventually people do see that. So let's say there was a typo in a question, all right, and then they just they just, under the circumstances, saying whatever that the student has given, everybody's going to get that particular mark, or it's going to be removed. And say, let's say if the test was out of 100, it will be out of 99 or out of 98 if that particular question was 2 point mark question. So yeah, I get what you're saying, but for the sake of in that particular question, you don't have to worry about that. It's not a trick, or it's not a matter of a different question. Any other question, by the way? Yeah. I'm looking at the time and just disengage people from question. All right, then let's go to number 6 in my screen. What is the following? Which of the following sciences is not considered a natural science?
D.
What did you say?
It's D.
Okay. Anybody else?
It's D.
All right. The third one, if there's a third one. All right, it's D. There's a third one on the chart. Yes, you are right. It's D. It's computer science. And 7, the type of logical thinking that uses related observation to arrive at a general conclusion is
It's D.
What is D? D is inductive reasoning. Anybody else? Oh, somebody says it's A. Now we've got two different options now. Any third person who wanna confirm for us? So the type of logical thinking that uses related observation. Okay, we have a decider. We said is D on the chat box here. Observation to arrive to a general conclusion is called.
I'm wrong, sir. It's A.
You actually, you are right. It's actually D.
What?
Yeah.
Can you explain inductive and deductive? So the differences.
Go back to that. Go. Let me just. So the type of logical thinking that uses observation to arrive to a general conclusion is inductive. So if you go back to that, please go back to that that diagram that we used to for page to do the figure, the previous question. Can I make it? Actually, I like it if we do this. Ooh, I give look at me. I give away the I did give away the the next question. I'm gonna make it when I send this. Then we will go through it. Is it fine?
Yes.
I'm gonna make it to have an explanation. Oh, okay. I'm sure you have seen the process of that help to ensure that scientific research is original, significant, through thorough. It's what? These are one of the questions that when I was talking about the fact that you need to be aware of something that we really didn't touch more, or we just look into it while passing through. When we're talking about how researchers go through the scientific study, how they do their research or conduct their research, how they give their reporting. I see a lot of people say it's C, another C. See what is C is peer review journal. Any third option? And indeed, the process of peer review helps to ensure that scientific research is original, significant, and logical through and through. So when you submit your work through peer review journal, you go there. So if you, as a student, you have conducted a research and you are reporting, you are completed now, you are reporting, you submit it through what we call a peer review. Mostly they call it peer review journals, where there will be your peers. Your peers will review your work, and then they will return it and say, you need to fix this and this. It's a comprehensive work. You need to review this and this. You need to do 1, 2, 3. You need to add this and this. They question your experimental model, your methodology, your hypothesis, your literature review, and all these kind of things. Your conclusion, what the results that you're reporting mean. So it's pure publication. Here's another. We're gonna have to really go through this inductive and deductive reasoning, because there's a lot of there's a lot of questions here, and it seems like it's simple. Like I was saying, it's not. Go through it when you have time in your notes, and also go through the examples. You will see that it's actually. So number 9 is a person notice that her house plants that are regularly exposed to music seems to grow more quickly than those in rooms with no music. As a result, she determined that plants grow better when exposed to music. This example most closely resembles which type of reasoning? And when they are putting here, because she just making a conclusion, and they are putting it to say it closely resembles which type of reasoning?
A.
What? Excuse me, you said what?
It's A.
A. Okay. Anybody else? I see another one say A. Oh, there's a third one which says A. Yeah. So it's inductive reasoning. You are all correct in that manner. And there's more. So number 10 in my screen, the smallest unit of biological structure that meets the functional requirements of a living is there. This one is easy, right? I see people are fast on the chat box. You see, somebody else also said C, and he said, oh, it's C. Everybody said C. Yes, C. Then number 11, it says viruses are not considered living because they either A, are not made of cells, B, like cell nuclei, or C, do not contain DNA or RNA, or D, they cannot reproduce. We're running out of time here, but I see somebody says A. Somebody says C. Anybody else? Somebody says C. Somebody says A. One last one. It's colorful. The difference is here. You're gonna laugh at the. So that's what I tell people. Multiple choices are not easy, and they're not nice. So viruses are considered not okay. Somebody said B. We almost have every option there. So viruses are not considered living because they cannot reproduce on their own. Viruses like the explanation will be viruses like cellular, although they're not gonna ask you to actually ask you to explain, but they like cellular machinery and metabolic processes for independent reproduction. So instead, they must infect a whole cell and hijack the whole cellular machinery to replicate and reproduce, while they contain the genetic material of either DNA or RNA, but they cannot carry out the process of life without help of the host cell. That is the explanation that I will also, when I add this, when I send you this, I will also add an explanation. So which is why they are classified as non-living entities or as cellular infectious agents. So you don't need to worry about the explanation, but I'll add also the explanation to this one, since all of you gave a preference, different answers. Whew, we are out of time, but the presence of membrane enclosed nucleus is a characteristic of. I can't see which one you're referring to, because just say 12, 12, 12, and the number. Because I see B. Okay, I think it's B. I think it's B, yeah. Congratulations, it's B, all of you. And the group of individuals from the same species living in the same area is called C. Somebody says C. Somebody says C also. So congratulations, it's C. Population. So which of the following statements represents represents or which of the following represent the hierarchy of biological organization from the most inclusive to the least complex level? The last diagram that I just showed you is actually showing this, I believe. All right, I think everybody got this one. It's D, biosphere, ecosystem, community, population, and organism. So they didn't just really end at the least complex, but it's the one that is consistent, or it's the one that is, you see, they just mixed up. So please go through those diagrams and make sure that you are familiar, or you are aware of the chronology or the complex or the hierarchy order, so that when example like this, you will be able to nail them. Some in some instances in previous those were previous question paper. They dated, I think 2012 is way old. And you guys, they were just like explain or list. When you are listing 7 marks, so you can tell it's a free 7 marks that you just don't have to mess it up. Where in the phylogenetic tree will you expect to find the organism that have evolved most recently? I think this one will also have some problem. Not problem, because it's and like you were saying, what particular question that emanated, while they are not trying to be tricky or what, but they still very how can I put it, distinctive conjunction when it comes to, is it a node, is it a branch, is it where in the phylogenetic, so in the phylogenetically, the organism that have evolved most recently will be found typically in the, if we are putting in terms of explanation, it's found in the branch tips or in the terminal nodes. So which is kind of like what you I'm sure most of you are worried about is the terminal nodes or in the branch tips. The branch tips is that they represent the exact extent or the current living species or a group of organisms. As you move from the branch tips towards the root of the tree, then you are tracking back in time to the common ancestor of that particular species. So the most recent evolutionary events are represented by the branch, within the branch, by the branch tips, while the deeper nodes and the branches represent more ancient and common ancestors. So please go through this thoroughly. And I understand that it's just jotting a lot of multiple choice questions, but go through this and tube it into your notes and see if you can be able to highlight a question or two, and it will be clear while you are studying now, when you have a little bit of this kind of exercises, that you can be able to see them and be used as an example which you can prepare for. So I really thought this was going to take less than 40 minutes. So in terms of time management, I failed completely, because this took us 2 hours tops, and we did not even touch the actual topic that we wanted to touch, which is the atoms, which is the atoms. You see, it dated 22 September. Atoms and atoms and molecules. So that's where we're gonna start next week, for atoms and molecules, and then we're gonna move in this progression next week, and we're gonna be very, very fast. So we are already starting. The first chapter, we finish it, and we also included the past question papers and the potential questions that you can expect, or the exercises that you can expect. So we are moving in that progression. So yes, be on the lookout for that. Any question with regards to this particular session of today? Was this helpful? Or we should abandon the past question papers and just shoot straight to the notes? Or was it helpful?
It was helpful.
Do others agree? Someone on the chat said it was helpful. It was helpful. It was helpful. All right. Yeah. So I think next week in Blg1501, we're gonna start from here, from atoms and molecules, and then after it, then we will also have some quiz or exercise. So I'm given to understand that you guys have access to these notes. Please be also studying them, so that when we go to the quizzes and some previous questions that we're going to chip in, say, and add them, you are able to give and participate. Yeah. Any question? I think I think, is Miss Shumaya still around? I think you're supposed to put your student numbers on the chat box. I don't remember seeing your student numbers, so please put before you log out, make sure that you put your student number in the chat box so that it is indicated that you have attended. And thank you so much for attending. Hopefully this was helpful. And yeah, if there's any other question, feel free to raise it up. And I think my email is there on the thing. Then you can email to me or to Ms. Shumaya. Then you will be able to be assisted with any regard whatsoever that you need assistance with, if we can. And yes, I'm forgetting something. I don't think I'm forgetting anything. Yeah, I think we are done. So those who are doing BLG1502, see you later. Miss Shumaya, are you in now? I think I'm done if you're still available. Okay, she's not around. Okay, just bye bye. See you.